Hey everyone, welcome once again to Pathways of Hope. My name is Jake Tan and I'll be giving today's meditation. So today we're looking at the Gospel of Mark. This is chapter 10. And now that we're in the ordinary time, after Easter, after Pentecost, we're kind of somewhere in the middle of Jesus' ministry. So in this chapter of Mark, chapter 10, we're looking at verses 13 to 16. And here we have the children coming to Jesus. So the people, the crowd, they asked their children to, or brought their children to Jesus and to ask him to touch them, to bless them. And, we have the disciples saying, keep the kids away from Jesus. Maybe they're assuming that they're rowdy or they just make a mess of things. They just add to the complication. Kids, they can be very energetic. But what Jesus says is quite striking. He says, let the children come to me. And he says, whoever does not accept the kingdom of heaven or the kingdom of God, just as these children do, then they will not accept it or they will not have it. And it's so striking because Jesus is saying that we need to have the same acceptance of the kingdom as children do in order to acquire it. And that's quite powerful because I think about it. Well, two images come to mind with this passage. First is how Jesus, how the children are brought to Jesus to bless them. I think of every time there's Mass and, at the end of every Eucharistic celebration, as the priest has the recession, all these children are just brought to him, to the priest, and then the priest starts blessing all the children one by one. I think this is the scriptural basis of that, and I think that's a powerful image because, the priests, they're supposed to be representatives of Christ here for the Catholic Church. And I don't know how that goes with other traditions, but for me, it's just something beautiful that we have as Catholics, and just blessing children. And I guess that's to emphasize, and maybe the blessing is very much in line with what Jesus says there. May you never lose that childlike acceptance of the kingdom. Maybe that's the blessing. And, that doesn't mean that blessing that he's giving to the children, that the priest gives to the children, is not just something exclusive to them. In fact, it's perhaps something that all of us should have. And I think it makes you beg the question, okay, why is it important to have the acceptance that the children have of the kingdom? And I think it narrows down to some qualities that children have. It's funny how, I think about it, it's funny how you have those moments where you think about how you get older, there's so much more to do with life, there's so many more responsibilities, expectations of independence, of earning. You start to think, okay, can I have job security? The idea of moving forward, all those things about earning, about doing more with your life because your brain's technically more mature. As you're a child, it's still developing, you're still dependent. And, there are just so many times that adults think, oh, I wish life could be as simple as being a child. And I think that's exactly what Jesus is pointing to. Think about it. Why was being a child so simple or so easy? It's because someone was taking care of you. It's because all your needs were met by an adult who would nurture you, love you, care for you. And because life is basically passing, everyone gets old, we cycle through different stages in our life, we take on new responsibilities, then as we get older, as we become adults, then suddenly greater burdens, responsibilities fall upon us to take care of people in the future or people who've taken care of us, something like that. But all throughout life, Jesus is inviting us, have childlike acceptance of the kingdom. Meaning, as a child is dependent on his family, on his parents, on someone who cares for them, depend on me. Jesus says, a child is dependent on God, on someone. And throughout whatever stage in life we are, Jesus calls us his children, sons and daughters, heirs to an inheritance that is imperishable, undefiled, and unfading. And I think that's something really powerful for us to think about. That's what the kingdom of heaven is. That's something that Jesus is inviting us to consider more and more, and that we can be blessed by him, that we can come to him, and that no one can keep us away from him. So let's remember that. Let's remember to have childlike faith, childlike acceptance of the kingdom. If we don't have that, then we might never have the kingdom, that we can be totally dependent on him. And how can we do that? By praying, by being surrounded by other people who have come to terms that the Lord is important and they want more of the Lord in their lives. And just continuously, yes, sharing our needs to the Lord, but more than just asking and asking, also listening to what He desires of our lives and how we can be someone who points people to the Lord, to the Lord who wants to nurture us, care for us, and allow us to be His children. So that's it for today's meditation. I hope that's something that you could really consider, childlike faith aspect. And as we continue to navigate through the ordinary time, this period of just seeing Jesus' ministry over and over again, it never gets old. Maybe continue to have more good reflections and moments of prayer like this. So if this is something you found helpful, feel free to subscribe or to follow the page and to share it. And yeah, God bless you more and more.